I'm going to talk to you about the debate around caloric restriction and fasting mimicking diets in the topic of longevity nutrition. It's a conversation that a lot of people are in right now, and a lot of individuals are looking at, should I do the caloric restriction or should I do a fasting mimicking diet? And what are the different ways to calorically restrict and do these fasting mimicking diets? What are the benefits, etc.? What we know is that caloric restriction is an amazing way to live longer, right? We know this in animal studies. We also know that the longevity communities around the world, like Loma Linda in California, the Sardinia community in Italy, the Okinawan community in Japan, these individuals typically eat less. They have, like in the Okinawa community, for instance, they put all of their food on small plates. They keep the food in the kitchen versus bringing it to the table, so they have to get up to go and get the food. And they force themselves to essentially have this rule where they only eat to around 80% full. So this is one of the ways that they have a lower caloric intake diet. Now, if you look at the American diet and the Western diet, unfortunately, and even in Okinawa, where I coach and train doctors and experts over in Okinawa, because I fly over and train doctors in my business over in Japan quite a bit. What I found is that the Western diet has impacted these longevity communities around the world, and it's very sad to see the impact that it has had on their health. I mean, people are developing cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, stroke, etc. in these longevity communities. So what they used to say is, hey, this is where people lived long, healthy lives. No more, unfortunately. I believe the blue zones and the places that will essentially allow for us to live healthier longer are right in our back door. We can integrate the information that we know now about what can help us live longer and healthier, which is a good thing. And if you want more information, please follow, like, subscribe to this channel, and I'll give you some more information, in the future. But let's get to the benefits of caloric restriction, right? It integrates and activates autophagy. What is autophagy? Autophagy is the process of essentially digesting the different organelles in the body that need recycling, right? That need recycling inside the cells. And apoptosis is when you essentially kill bad cells and allow for new cells to come and replace them. And so when you are fasting and when you are essentially calorically restricting your diet, you can stimulate this process of autophagy and allow for your body to essentially recycle the things that are causing inflammation inside the body and that ultimately need recycling. And when we're in a place of consuming a lot of food, unfortunately, we don't ever activate autophagy at the level that we could. We also stimulate a process called mitophagy, which is the essentially recycling of older mitochondria for, a healthier and upgraded cellular functionality and mitochondrial function as well. So there's a lot of benefits when it comes to caloric restriction. What we do know is people are able to live longer, healthier. They're able to have more vibrant health and vitality. I know for me, when I'm not overeating, like sometimes I have at Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think a lot clearer. I think a lot more creatively. I get better sleeps at night. I have more performance throughout the day. My physical body performs at a higher level. I mean, the list goes on. And so what about fasting mimicking diets? So fasting mimicking diets are a way to calorically restrict, because these fasting mimicking diets, like the prolonged diet, they essentially force you to consume a smaller amount of food. And it's very calculative in the way that they put these nutrients together so that your nutrition is literally under, 500 calories, say, or something along those lines in a day. So this can then stimulate caloric restriction. It can help you get into, ketosis, which is the process of beta oxidation and fat burning inside of the body. And there's a number of different positive things that can happen when you calorically restrict. So some people do this via intermittent fasting as well, where they will consume 2 meals a day or maybe 3 meals a day within a shorter time frame. And because they consume in a shorter time frame, they just typically don't eat as much. And so naturally, it's a way to calorically restrict. In fact, some people say, you know what? The real benefit of intermittent fasting isn't the fact that you're eating in a short window. It's actually caloric restricting, benefits of intermittent fasting. But What I will say is that there are a ton of benefits of intermittent fasting. I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting for a number of reasons. And one of those reasons is, caloric restriction. So what about these fasting mimicking diets? What I can say is that they are a really, really powerful way to calorically restrict in a way that is more accessible and easy for you to integrate. Now, the big concern that I have with people that overdo it, where they're like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to lose weight and I'm starting to get some health results, etc., is that they will stay on this fasting mimicking diet and calorically restricted diet for too long. And then what will end up happening is they have massive micronutrient deficiencies and macronutrient deficiencies where they're just simply not getting enough protein, they're not getting enough carbohydrates, they're not getting enough healthy fats, and they're not getting all of the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, amino acids that their body needs in order to function, right? Your neurotransmitters need certain vitamins like B vitamins and certain amino acids to actually produce neurotransmitters. Your hormones need all of these different micronutrients as precursors in order to create hormones, enzymes, etc. in your body need these things. So when you calorically restrict too much and you're on these fasting mimicking diets too much, then you end up becoming deficient and you can cause other health problems. So what do? What can you do, right? I would highly recommend integrating intermittent fasting, integrating a calorically restrictive diet. And if you want to do that in the long run, by all means do that. However, you need to supplement. This is what I'm literally doing right now. I am on a cleanse right now. It's a spiritual cleanse that my wife and I committed to. It's a 21-day, 3-week cleanse. And what I'm doing is I'm eating a lot less food. I have eaten probably half the calories that I normally eat. I'm not eating the food that I necessarily want to be eating. I enjoy eating certain types of foods, but this is a very restrictive, very healthy, more whole foods based diet. And again, the purpose is obviously specifically for spiritual health. However, there's a lot of physiological benefits as well. And so one of the interesting things that I've been able to do though, is I've been able to gain muscle mass. I've gained around 3 or 4 pounds of muscle intentionally integrating this very caloric restrictive diet. How am I doing that? I'm taking supplements. I'm taking perfect aminos. I'm getting a lot of amino acids that have leucine and lysine and all of these different amino acids that stimulate the mTOR pathway, which is the muscle building pathway in the body after my workouts and throughout the day after my workouts. So I have been able to combat the challenges of caloric restriction by taking, again, minerals, vitamins, amino acids, different healthy fatty acids. There's a number of different things that you can do, but it's the same thing that I say with people that are on vegan diets. Like a lot of my clients in the past, my patients, they went to Life Mastery with Tony Robbins and they're like, oh my gosh, everything needs to be green and alkaline and that's all I'm gonna be eating for the rest of my life. And then what happens, 2 or 3 months down the road, they get a micronutrient test done and they're massively deficient in all these vitamins and minerals and amino acids. And they're like, man, I used to feel really good and now I'm not feeling so good. And so, yes, can it be really amazing and can it create a lot of energy? Yes. However, you need to be really good and intentional around supplementing for the deficiencies that the particular diet that you're on can actually create. It's the same with people that are on a carnivore diet, right? They still have to look for things that will give them healthy levels of fiber if they're not getting that or something along those lines. The bottom line is that caloric restriction is good. The fasting mimicking diet is really good. However, you just have to be careful, again, with those deficiencies that you can develop over time. And you have to be intentional about, the way that you integrate these fasting mimicking diets and how you pulse them. Some of these fasting mimicking diets are very processed as well. They have cheap ingredients and they're not very healthy for you. So I just make sure that you're getting on a really healthy diet. And the last thing I will leave you on is that fasting stimulates AMPK pathways. And the AMPK pathways are really powerful for mitochondrial health. They can stimulate, again, mitophagy, autophagy in the body. I shared about what that process is. It's kind of like the recycling of the old and the building of the new, which is really an important thing. It's kind of like a healthy detox kind of process in a way. And that is something that you stimulate through a caloric restriction, is the AMPK process. So this is something that is talked about a lot in longevity. Again, there's a lot of benefits of stimulating the AMPK pathway. In a future video, I'll talk about how to kind of balance the AMPK pathway with the mTOR pathway. That's important to understand, and how you kind of want to play with those two pathways in order to get the healthiest, longest, most vital life that you can when you're really wanting to stimulate longevity pathways within your body. And a lot of the things that I'm talking about here have been what has allowed for me to have one of the top longevity scores in the world, and one of the best Dunedin pace scores that you can get. And, a lot of the other things that we do to live a long and healthy life, but also a life full of vitality, which is health span, right? It's not just about living a long life. It's about living a long and healthy life. I'll leave you with this one story. My wife's grandmother passed away when she was 102 years old. And when I asked about I met her, she's a beautiful, lovely lady, and you wouldn't have known she was when I met her, she was in her 90s. You would never know that she was that old because she just looked amazing. But the one thing that she did was she ate a calorically restrictive diet, but it was high nutrient dense foods that she ate. She started her morning with healthy level of steel cut oats that she put different, superfoods in, and berries and things of that nature. She had salads. She ate light, right? She ate light. And that was one of the ways that she was able to live to 102. And, she also had a routine of going out and walking, and also serving her community. She loved to support people and add value to people. One of the things that she would say is that if you're dealing with mental health challenges, if you go out and you surf, you can create a lot of vitality in your mental health just by the process of serving. So hopefully this video added value to you around caloric restriction, and I hope it created clarity around some of the things that it can do, and why I think that fasting mimicking diets are really beneficial for people, especially people that don't want to do some hardcore kind of intermittent fasting solution or strategy where their eating window is 2 hours or something like that, and they're only eating 5 hours a day, and they're starving themselves the rest of the day. It's a good way to have 3 meals in a day, but keep the calories low. And so again, thank you for watching this. If you want to help me get the message out about what we're doing here at this channel, please share this with your friends, your family, like this video, and definitely hit that bell button so that you're notified when we come out with more information in the future. So thanks so much. Have a great day, and much love.